All right. Hello and welcome to our final part of our retrospective on the Star Wars Original Trilogy. And the film that we're going to be talking about for this one is Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. And so I just want to get everyone's initial thoughts on this film. And I want to start with Justin.
All right, so the final film of the original trilogy. Um, I have mixed feelings with this film. Very enjoyable film. I love it. Uh, Definitely my top five favorite films. Um, there are things that I think detracted from the film, whether it be the original cut of it or the special editions. However, it's a solid film and a great ending to the saga. It hits all the points it needed to, and out of 10, I'd give it like an 8.2.
Mm-hmm. Michael?
All right, so first off, I do think this is a good movie. It's definitely the weakest of this trilogy. I think the last, maybe third, the last part of this movie uh, is just great. But overall, I'd say it's about probably an 84, 86 around there.
Yeah.
You know, it's still good, but it's a drop off from Empire for sure. There are just some parts that it's not consistent, is what I'll say.
Yeah, I agree. For me, I would rate this film at like an 8. If I was giving it a grade, I would give it a B minus because I just feel like the special editions and also the Ewoks they really take this film down for me. I know a lot of people love those space bears, but I'm sorry, I don't like that cutesy stuff in my Star Wars. I
Yeah,
mean, I know this series has a lot of kid friendly elements, but
But they were
we,
going to
we're
eat them.
we're seeing Ewoks take down stormtroopers with rocks. Like, I'm sorry, that just doesn't work for me.
yeah,
And then the special editions with the whole. I just want to get on to the part where at Jabba's palace, the that band that's playing
Awful.
horrendous music. Oh,
Awful. The
yeah.
music's bad. The CGI animals are bad.
It really throws you out because the
It
CGI
does.
is just it's not good. Like the
yeah.
And it's like,
lady with
yeah.
the mouth that's like really long.
Hmm.
It just throws you out of it. Um, because that's really like hardcore. Like that's hardcore CGI. You can tell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes you out of the film, in my opinion, and it's out of all of the special editions, it's the worst change that they made. Everything else was pretty subtle. This was right in your face, literally hollering at you,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the song. And I know what they were trying to do, but it didn't work for me.
Hmm.
The whole atmosphere of Jabba's palace was cool though. It's just that part. It's just it honestly significantly lowered the film for me.
Yeah. But overall, I would say this film is it's very good.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think it's lower than you know and it's the whole series has been pretty consistent. Like we had a
Yeah.
great foundation to build on in New Hope, and then
Mhm.
we had a great bridge in Strikes Back, and a lot of revelations that really cemented the legacy of Star Wars. Um, and this film it just builds upon it even further and even closes it out and as best as it could. It's hard to close out any great trilogy. But
Yeah.
I think they did a pretty good job for the time.
Yeah. I mean,
Yep.
I'd agree with that point. There's just there's a lot of things in this film that I don't enjoy very much, but there are some things, a lot more things that I enjoy very much. That are some of my favorite Star Wars moments. For example, the Rancor scene in this film towards the beginning, where Luke fights the Rancor in Jabba's palace. That was awesome. That
Yeah.
creature was awesome. Adding more to the lore, adding more creatures. the Gamorrean guards. Luke's whole mystique when he gets in here, you can tell he's grown.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
If not by the change in the lightsaber color, building a new lightsaber, in his garb that he's wearing,
Yeah.
the
All
black
black.
robes. You can really tell he's grown. You can even tell that through some of the dialogue, when Chewie's talking to Han about Luke's a Jedi Knight now, you know what I mean? And Han's like, what? I'm out of it for a few moments and everyone's getting delusions of grandeur and all that.
Hmm.
But that whole plan that they had to save everybody in Jabba's palace didn't exactly go as planned, but worked out. And you can really tell the growth that Luke's had
Yeah.
throughout this film.
And Mark Hamill does a great job in this film. Like, his acting was very strong here. And
His acting here, I think, is the best in the original trilogy.
oh, no doubt, no doubt.
For sure.
And I really love his confidence. Like he's finally like in the first one, he kind of doubts himself. Like, I mean, he's a wide-eyed kid, and he's still trying to figure out like what this whole Force thing is and how to harness the Force and use it to his advantage. But in this one, he's become a Jedi master in a way.
Mhm.
I mean, he's
Yeah.
still got a lot to learn, but I feel like he's there finally. He's not like still training and learning. The learning's over. School's out.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, all he needs, in the words of Yoda, all he needs to do is confront Vader,
Yeah.
and he did that. This is like his arc. This is his growth that you see throughout the films. I mean, it's some of the. I think between him and Han Solo, they had the most growth as characters. But specifically Luke, though, I think has the most, because this is, any way you put it, this is his story, because this is a Skywalker. This is the Skywalker saga. It's about his family. But these three films in particular, they're mostly surrounded around him. So you really see his arc and how much he's grown as a person as well as a Jedi. And he's really powerful in this film, and you can really see it. But he also has control, which is something he didn't have in the last film. Control of his emotions, control of his strength, and you really see that towards the end of this film. Resisting the dark side, resisting temptation, and resisting Palpatine, as well as his father.
Mm-hmm. So I guess we should get on to talking about Justin. I know you mentioned the title of this film, what the original title was. So I guess we should talk about Revenge of the Jedi, because that's what the original title was. But as you guys know, George Lucas argued that Jedis would never take revenge. I think that was actually addition by Mark Hamill, actually.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you can see it here. I got that red plaque.
Mm-hmm.
That's the original. It has the original art on there. It says "Revenge of the Jedi."
Oh, so promotional posters went out and they said.
Yeah,
Revenge.
they even had the film. If I'm not mistaken, the film was actually released already as Revenge, and then they switched it after release to Return.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the promotional. They had it already. You see, I don't know if you can see very well, but Vader's holding a blue lightsaber in it, and Luke's holding a red one. Pretty interesting. But yeah, that was the original title. And then, like you said, Jedi doesn't take revenge, so
yeah,
they changed it to Return, and I think Return of the Jedi worked just as well, if not better.
Yeah,
and it works well for the meaning of the Jedi, and it works well for the movie.
Yeah, I guess that's why they chose to make call the title "Revenge of the Sith" the way it is, because only a Sith would take revenge.
Exactly.
Yeah,
for sure. Another significant change in the film didn't happen until editing and stuff, was the addition of the green lightsaber.
A great addition.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like I said before, expands the lore, which is awesome to see. But I mean, until that point, all we knew was the blue, and it
Blue and the
was
red.
blue and red, blue and red. You know what I'm saying? Like this was cut dry, But now we see the green.
And you can see trailers where, it's there. I saw one trailer from back in the day. It's like in a throne room, he'll have the green one, but then
Mhm.
also you see a blue one. So it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's pretty cool.
yeah. The idea was to change it to green, not for any specific lore purposes at first. It was just because green looked better on the desert
Yeah, and easier
background.
to see. Yeah,
Yeah, it was easier to see. But I mean, with that addition, it really opened up the idea of different colors for lightsabers, which is really cool. I mean, we wouldn't have a purple lightsaber
Yeah.
if not for this change in color of green,
and
Now
hopefully
there's
we
all
won't see any
sorts.
yellow.
Now there's all sorts, there's orange in canon, there's orange, yellow, blue, green, cyan, purple, magenta, red, black,
Yeah.
white, there's all sorts of colors. And none of that would even be a thought if it wasn't for this artistic design change. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And where did Luke actually get that lightsaber from? Like, did he find that crystal from Yoda? Did he get that from Yoda? Because I know he returns to Yoda's home on Dagobah.
So that saber, it's not shown. There was deleted scenes of Luke building the saber, but this is a new saber that he built using old. He went back to Tatooine. Well, he was on Tatooine, but he was in Ben's hut. He found old schematics for a lightsaber, which is why Luke's lightsaber looks a lot like
Yeah.
Ben's saber. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The crystal, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where he got the crystal. It might also have been on Ben, with Ben, in his old home, but I'm not sure on that one. But he got the design, the parts, and all that from old stuff that Ben had, and created this new saber, which is, later on we see that this is a significant part of your transition from a Padawan to a Jedi Knight, is to make your create your new saber. So
Yeah.
And the sound it makes when it turns on, it's pretty cool too.
Yeah, it's just a really cool saber and a great color. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mentioned Yoda just a second ago, and I feel like we should get on to the death of Yoda in this movie, because that was a significant moment for me, because I cried during that scene when I was a little kid. Seeing my favorite character pass away was a hard moment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was. He lived a long life, though. I mean, like he says, when 900 years old you get, look as good will you not? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
that guy was old.
Mm-hmm.
9 centuries of of life.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even Luke was like, "Wow, you can't die, Master Yoda."
Yeah.
And it just shows the mortality of a Jedi. Everyone dies, and like Yoda said, this is part of the living Force. This is how things are. Everyone becomes part of the Force again. But that's okay. Like they said in the film, Ben said, hey, Yoda will always be with you, and so will I.
Yeah.
In spiritual form, of course, but they're still there.
So, I know we're jumping around all over the place, but I feel like we should get on to the ending of this film with the final confrontation between Luke and Darth Vader right in front of the Emperor. And what do you guys think of that whole ending scene?
I think it's easily the best part of the movie, and it's one of the best best sequences in the entire saga. You know, it's just really powerful. The fight's great. The emotion's great. You know,
Hmm.
it's just overall, it's what takes us. It's what keeps this movie from being just kind of
Yeah.
mediocre, I guess. To like, it's solid.
Hmm.
So yeah, I just
Yeah.
when
Mhm.
when Vader starts, you know, when Luke's hiding, he's like, I don't want to fight you. And when Vader brings up Leia, and when Luke just goes crazy, I
Yeah.
just love that.
Hmm.
Yeah. Luke taps a little bit into the dark side at
Oh
that
yeah,
point, but he doesn't give in to it. You know what I mean?
yeah. He sees, you know, the robot hand, and he's like, oh, that's what I could be.
Yeah, because right after that, he throws his saber away and is like, "Never join you. I'm a Jedi, like my father before me."
Yeah, and he kind of looks back like my father back there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And in
it
this
was
one,
this.
oh, go ahead, Justin.
No, I was just gonna say it's a very powerful scene, like Michael said, and it's one of my favorite fights in all of Star Wars. Like it's my favorite fight, um,
Yeah.
and definitely the best fight in the original trilogy.
I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really and it's a lot quicker
Yeah.
than the previous fights in the original show. There's a lot more choreography going on, and you can tell they
Hmm.
worked hard on it, and also introduced a couple new interesting combat choices, I guess. Fighting, you see Vader, you know, with the saber throw. That was the first time that was introduced. Um, yeah, it was really cool. It was a really cool fight, and I like it a lot. It's like I said before, I put it in like top 3 lightsaber duels in all
Yeah.
of Star Wars.
Yeah.
For sure.
The thing that that I should probably mention is earlier in our New Hope review, I said that the fighting sequences in these in the original trilogy just weren't all that impressive. But I have to say that they were far more impactful and meaningful in these films because they were intense moments, you know, between the people that were fighting in these saber battles, you know. Um, I think the moment between Luke and Darth Vader in this film when they're fighting each other, you can tell that you know they don't want to be doing this. Like the doesn't want to kill his son, and he realizes that at the moment when he's ordered to kill Luke right in front of the Emperor, and then at that moment Vader decides to throw the Emperor down the shaft. Um, and I think that was just a very powerful moment, you know.
Yeah, yeah, it really was, and that's like the completion of Vader's arc as well. Um, that's really when he turns back to the light, and he admits that he was right, that there was still light in him. And you could argue Vader turning back to the light, that was the return of the Jedi, and the significance in that film,
Yeah.
in the film title, because Vader's returning back to the light side. He's the Jedi that's returning. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
He gets his redemption.
Yeah, and you see that with him becoming a Force ghost.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful moment when he takes off his mask um, and he reveals himself to his son. Uh, and I don't know whether he says he's sorry for all that he did in his life, but I feel like he feels remorse in that moment for all that he's done, you know. But he's redeemed in the moment when he saves his son.
Yeah. I mean, we could talk about how his legacy has been impacted by the future films, but I'll wait. I'll wait on that um, because he kills Palpatine, but does he really? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Once again with the shaft, if you fall down anything,
Fall in
if
a
you die
hole.
off screen, you're
You're not dead.
probably still alive.
Yeah. But I
And
think
this
we
is the
should.
one Boba Fett falls in. I didn't mean to interrupt, but
No, I was actually going to
oh,
transition to
okay.
that similar point. We should talk about another person who falls to their death on screen
Hmm.
with Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
He dies like I mean, his death isn't great. He goes
No,
out kind of lame.
yeah, he
He
goes out
gets
like a punk, you know.
he gets hit by a blind Han. Just where? What?
Boba Fett,
Yeah,
where?
And then he
yeah,
has that
it's
scream. He's like,
mhm.
ah!
Yeah, he definitely goes out not in the most interesting way. It was very anticlimactic, but
Yeah. That's the whole problem with Boba Fett.
they had to, you know, they had to do something. I feel like with that character is they had to have him in the film because he was in the last film, so he was a pretty significant plot point in getting Han Solo back, rescuing Han Solo.
Hmm.
But also, I think, you know, don't quote me on this, but I think it was a purpose design choice to have him fall in the Sarlacc pit, then, you know, have Luke cut off his head or something.
Yeah. Otherwise, he would have
point
died like
where
his dad.
Well, yeah, and also to the point where, you know, you could revisit that character if he gets out. You know what I'm saying? Like they kept it open to interpretation.
I don't think they did that on purpose, but I mean, it works.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what they do with his character in The Mandalorian. But I think it was with the thought of bringing him back eventually. So, yeah, it is a shame to see him go like that. He's such a cool character, and people thought, you know,
Yeah.
oh man, like this guy's you know, the bomb diggity, and then he goes out like that, you know.
Yeah.
So, but rather that than, you know, him blowing up in the ship or something, or getting shot or something, getting cut in half.
Yeah.
Being cut in half would have been cool.
Yeah, it would have been.
I think the big knock on him is that in the movies that he's been in, he's always been all style and no substance. You know, he just hasn't done anything of importance in the original trilogy. But as we see in the expanded lore, he does a lot more important things in, you know, the books and everything. But
yeah,
in this one, he's just kind of there.
Yeah, it's one of the down points of the movie. Is like one of the reasons I don't rate it as highly as the others. That along with, you know, Ewoks and stuff, but I think they're going to give him some redemption to come up here in the fall with Mandalorian season 2. So hopefully,
Yeah. I have a few things I want to talk about later on in the discussion, but I just want to get to the very end of this movie where we see the Force Ghosts, and we see that Darth Vader's been redeemed, and Sebastian Shaw was replaced with Anakin Skywalker or Hayden Christensen from the original movies, or from the prequels. What do you guys think of that?
I don't think it makes. I mean,
like, I understand why they did it, but
it just makes more sense if he was the old guy, you know?
Yeah. Like, I understand. Like, this is, like, from my thought process, is that's the last time he was, like, a Jedi. But he looked like that.
But technically wasn't he also after he killed the Emperor? So, like...
Yeah, he redeemed himself.
For a split second, he was Anakin again. So.
Yeah. I don't think it was a necessary change.
It wasn't, no. And it's not they got Hayden. Didn't they just put his head over it too? It's not like they got him to show up. So it's just like I don't know.
No,
I think they did bring him in. Like that was.
Did they?
Yeah, they brought him in.
Oh,
and
I thought
they
it was
shot
just
his
his head.
scenes, and it was just a basic thing. Like I guess he kind of looks embarrassed to be there. Like he does that look up. He's like, oh, I'm here. You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it kind of takes away from the immersion because you're like, for example, if you hadn't seen the prequels, you're like, who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah, who is that?
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah. It just takes away from the immersion, like I said, which is one of the things that just. This is why this movie suffers the most from the, you know, the altered editions.
Yeah.
The special editions, because it just takes away the immersion. With that scene, with the scene in Jabba's palace with the singing, Another thing I didn't like with it is right after that, every planet it goes throughout the whole galaxy, shows every planet celebrating. How does everyone know already?
Yeah.
There's no effing way.
I know.
There's no way they know that quickly.
And there's no way that there's not. Yeah.
Okay, this is Star Wars. I get that they can send messages really quickly. Even if they sent messages that the Empire's destroyed, do you really think all those planets the night of would start shooting up fireworks and celebrating?
Yeah.
Half of these planets are still under Imperial control. Like the Empire
Exactly.
is
Like Coruscant.
very, very weakened,
Yeah.
but not eliminated.
Yeah.
Like that wouldn't be a thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's after that in which the rebels, start, flushing out the rest of the Imperial forces. I mean, the Empire's basically done and basically gone, but I mean, you have if you've ever played Battlefront 2, the newest one, they have a whole lore on what happens right after the Death Star, the second Death Star blows up.
Mm-hmm.
The Empire's still very strong, but very weakened at the same time. And it's the start of the downfall. They're still there for a while afterwards. Even in The Mandalorian, this is set after this movie. The Empire still has a presence. Obviously, they don't control the galaxy at this point, but they still have a presence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's one of my things. That always bothered me. That shows all the planets, and it's very CGI. Like it's all prequel footage. It looks like they show Coruscant and Naboo and all these planets.
You hear Jar Jar in the background.
We see that.
But yeah, I don't. No, it just bothered me. Everyone wouldn't be celebrating like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's another reason. It just pulls you out of the immersion, like I said before, with the special editions.
Yeah. I guess another thing we should talk about is probably the revelation that Leia is Luke's sister in this film. Because we didn't get to talk about it much in the Strikes Back one, but that's because that didn't happen just yet. So
yeah. I mean,
so what do you guys think of the revelation?
Yeah, he had just figured out that it's his father. I mean, in this movie, he basically confirms it. Like it's not an empty lie from Vader. Like he wasn't just lying. He confirms it with, he confirms it with Yoda
and Ben.
And then Ben ends up telling him, "You do have a twin sister. There's another hope." He figures out this Leia. Very, very circumstantial that that one person in the entire galaxy that's his twin sister is this chick that he's been hanging out with for years now. But I mean, it's just it fits the story. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of tells her in a weird way, though. Like he's kind of indirect about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like his reaction should have been like, "She's my sister."
Well,
Can
if
I
you
kiss
look
her?
later,
When
Leia tells Han just kind of stares off like.
What?
He's like.
I think he had the most. His reaction was the most genuine out of all of them that they're siblings.
Yeah.
He was just happy that Leia wasn't in love with him in a romantic way.
Yeah, that would have been messed up. But I guess they were trying to get rid of the love triangle. Like they didn't want going forward, if they were to make more movies, they didn't want this whole thing of a love triangle between Han, Luke, and Leia. Like
you see hints of that throughout this movie before they realize that they're siblings, or at least Han's seeing that it's not really happening, but Han's seeing it and he's like, I don't like this. But but it all works out in the end.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything else that you want to discuss for this film?
Well, I know some people, they don't really like how it's just a repeat of the Death Star again.
Oh yeah.
That never really bothered me because why wouldn't you build another Death Star? If your first one blows up, it's so powerful. it makes sense
Yeah.
they would build another one, but I
Mhm.
can get why people don't like the recycling of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, to that point, I don't think this film suffers because of it. Like you said, like it makes sense that they had this powerful weapon. Why not build another one? You know, but I think other films, in particular, um, The Force Awakens, suffers from the fact that they're building another planet-killing weapon
I
to
think
be
Rise of
like the
Skywalker
Empire.
too, with
Yeah,
yeah, but
so I think that's where it kind of suffers. The Empire making another planet-killing weapon to, you know, reaffirm control of the galaxy makes sense, and it's a bigger one, and it's technically more powerful than the last. So they've improved upon it. It's not a copy paste kind of thing. You know what I mean? So
right.
it kind of makes sense
I
that
like the design
Yeah.
of it, how it's like half built.
yeah, it's not
That's always
finished,
cool.
but it's
Yeah,
still it's
it's
not finished.
operational.
It's still operational and it's
Yeah,
huge. If you've ever seen images, they have images out there that they compare
yeah.
the sizes of the two.
Hmm.
Um, you know, Death Stars, and Death Star 2 is a lot bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, even in this film, they show it? Don't they show the
I think
size
they do.
comparison
I think they do.
when Mon Mothma's like talking? She shows like a size comparison. It's like this and then like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's huge. But yeah,
Yeah. Honestly, I can't imagine them ending this franchise any other way. Like, well, at this point, because I've seen the movie so many times, but
yeah.
I just feel like this is the logical conclusion to the story.
It makes sense.
It has a good wraparound. Um,
Yeah, it started the way it ended the way it started.
mhm.
Um, and in a great in a way that it's even more climactic than it was
Yeah.
in the other one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's higher stakes, there's more involved, there's more moving parts, and each team, Rebels and Empire, are contributing more resources towards this fight than the previous one. They have whole giant fleets out there fighting each other.
yep.
Yeah. We should probably mention that about Harrison Ford and his involvement in this one. The fact that he wanted to actually die in this one. I think he actually wanted to die in the last one,
He did.
um,
Yeah, at the end. Yeah,
but I feel like in this one he seemed like he desperately wanted to die because
Yeah,
he really seemed like he was not sleepwalking through the movie, but his performance was just a little
it's true.
off.
Especially on an Endor, there's some lines he says where it's kind of weird, but
yeah.
Hmm. And let's talk about C-3PO being worshipped like a god by the Ewoks. That was always weird to me.
It's pretty funny. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense. He's all shiny and stuff, so they see him as a deity. It's pretty funny though. I mean, it's for comedic relief as well as progressing the story along that he's able
Yeah.
to communicate with them. I always loved the scene where Luke was like, tell him that you'll use your magic if they don't stop,
Yeah.
And then he's like, Luke, but Master Luke, I have no magic, and he uses the Force and stuff like that.
Hmm.
That was a funny scene.
And
now
there's a great scene in this movie where Luke is talking to his father again and telling him that I sense good in you. It's still there. And Darth Vader's like, I'm not sure if it is, you know?
Yeah,
yeah, and he's like, it's too late for me.
Hmm.
they
So
have
you
that.
you kind of tell he kind of agrees with it, but he's like,
Yeah, they
I've
have
done
that
too
little.
much.
Yeah, they have that little heart to heart, and he's not sure if he can be redeemed, but ultimately, we see otherwise. And
And
that
then Luke
whole that
tells
whole
him,
sequence, yeah, on Endor, the fight above Endor,
hmm
uh, we see a return of Lando, and
Nine Nub.
he's with Nine Nub in the Falcon, and they're taking care of business up there. Um, Another interesting character, Admiral Akbar.
Oh, yeah. Can't forget talking about Admiral Akbar.
Rest in peace.
The iconic, yeah, they did him a disservice.
Yeah.
they did him a disservice, man, in the new trilogy, man.
Yeah, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there, but man, rip Admiral Akbar, dude.
Hmm.
But yeah, he's an iconic character. The line, "It's a trap," you know.
Yeah.
Such a cool guy. The Mon Calamari are such a cool species, bro.
Oh yeah.
And he's
Squid
smart.
people.
He was a smart admiral too.
Yeah, he
To his
was.
credit.
Yeah, he was for sure. Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty pivotal to that fight, you know,
Yeah.
in the cruiser.
Honestly, I like this trench run a little bit better than the A New Hope's trench run.
I disagree.
Something about the flying through the Death Star was pretty cool for me.
I mean, like it had more flair to it just because of the fact that they went into the core of it, blew it up from the inside, and it was like a chain reaction. They had to speed on out.
Yeah.
I really liked that. I liked how the Falcon came out of the bursting fire of the Death Star and it just
shoots out.
Shoots out of it.
That's what I'm talking about. It just seemed a lot more climactic, you know?
Yeah, it was cool. And it made sense. I mean, if it's open, why not go in it and blow it up from the inside,
Mm-hmm. Now, we only got a few minutes left, so I feel like we should talk about the legacy that these films have left behind. And maybe you guys can speak to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think this really opened up the doors for a lot more to come. I mean, we're seeing it now. We're seeing it when we were younger, and we'll see it 20 years from now. It really made Star Wars a household name, and developed a fandom that's unlike any other. It's pretty incredible to see how much things have changed, yet things have stayed the same with Star Wars. You know what I mean? There's been design decisions that have pushed the boundaries of what can come next and what has came with the prequels, with the new trilogy. Every single trilogy has its ups and downs, things that you do like about it, things that you don't like about it. But it is what it is, and you got to take it as it comes, because, I mean, I love Star Wars. I love everything Star Wars.
Yeah.
Whether I agree or disagree with something, that's my opinion, but ultimately it is there. And it's really incredible to see how much that this idea, this fandom has changed, my perspective, my life, in a good way. Like we've grown up with the prequels, our parents may have grown up with the originals, and our siblings grow up with the new trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all the same thing, and you can enjoy all of it, basically.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Michael?
I pretty much agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like this was a good ending to this to the original trilogy, and I just feel like as fans we love Star Wars, warts and all. We're not blind to its mistakes and its flaws, but we love it for all that it is.
Oh yeah.
I feel like this is these are probably one of the most important films as far as as far as franchises go. And it would be a flat out crime if nobody was to watch these films in the future. So these are mandatory watches, and I